So this week we did a little bit of an experiment. We did a 3-day water fast, and I wanted to see how would my chest be with no food in my system. And this week I'll have you know I beat my first 3,000 ever on chess.com. I'm going to show you that game. I'm going to show you another game where I just wiped the floor with a 2700. And you might be like, this is pseudoscience. There's no correlation. And you might be right, but I'm going to make there be a little bit of a correlation. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'll show you the stats. Look at this. Look at this. 1 week, we just went up. You might be like, 3-day water fast. Why would you do that? Well, I'm going to give a background. This is going to be a little bit of a weird video, or different video, I should say. We could say odd. And you also might be like, hey, Balkan Death, this guy's 2962. What do you mean you beat a 3,000? That's false advertisement. 5 or more, add 1 more. Have you ever heard about it? And I think he's 2962 after the fact that I was done with him, after I took all of his rating. So why did I do a 3-day water fast? Well, I come from a peculiar family. They're very healthy. I'm healthy by US standards, but my family is like wicked healthy. Like, for example, my mom, she's 70. She got cancer. She rejected Western medicine after a little bit of time and tried to do alternative medicine, get herself into remission, and she did. And this was stage 4 cancer. So it's ridiculous. And I just have a lot of respect for her, and I view her as highly educated, and I like to take her advice, as does most of my family. So I was like, I'm going to do a 3-day water fast because she said it's pretty good for you. I can explain the science. It's good for, basically it starves your bad cells, and then it's easier to attack them and get rid of them. That's in cancer treatment. Is it true when you don't have cancer? Well, everybody has cancerous cells in their body. Right? Pretty strange. So we're giving a little bit of a scientific background. You might say it's pseudoscience. That's fine. It's just an opinion over here. But I did it. And you might be like, how could you play chess? How could you do anything? But no, it's really 3-day water fast. The first day, the first half of the day is like, oh my goodness, I'm hungry. But you're not. That's just your mind saying you're hungry. And then after you get the first day, the second day, you have mental clarity. You might feel like a little weak at first, but you can still go for a run, still go to the gym, feel fine. And then by the second half of the second day, you feel amazing. I mean, your mind is so clear. You feel so amazing, so strong, or at least I did. Third day, you're like, I don't even want to eat. But then you do eat, and then you fall back into normal habit. So it's pretty strange. But I feel like this week was the best chess I've ever played. I went up more than 120 points in Bullet. I don't typically play Bullet, but I just felt like playing Bullet this week because, it's just a feeling. So if you want to try water fast, research the benefits, research how to do it properly, and maybe give it a try. So I believe that was a long intro. And I tried finding a game like during Ramadan, for example, because I know you're not allowed to eat. Like any prominent players that did a Ramadan fast, couldn't find it. I saw some people do 1 meal a day, but it didn't name the chess players. So I'm just going to look at my games because I know I successfully went through the 3-day water fast. But I wonder if, because food makes you lethargic. So obviously you don't want to eat right before a game, but this is an extreme case. So, it's a little bit of a science experiment. I'm done talking. We're going to get into the game. We get pawn to e4, pawn to c5. This is the closed Sicilian, that is, with knight to c3. Both of them are going to be with white for me from the white perspective, playing the Grand Prix, as you guys know I play. This game, not so great. Next game, very great. So we get a6. Yep. And, I know bishop b5 is a line. Typically, I like to play bishop to e2, castles, queen e1, d3, bishop d1 when the knight comes to d4, and then kind of just get it out this way and attack on f7. But I went bishop to b5 here. Mental clarity, let me tell you. We doubled their pawns, castles e6, d3, d5. Okay. So, what to know about this position? Well, you should fianchetto this bishop, and when they have no b-pawn, the knight actually stands extremely well here on a4 when there's no b-pawn to kick you out. So that's some good stuff. We get pawn to b3, bishop to e7, and queen to e1. So I wanted bishop a3 right away. I'll do that later in the game. I just like this queen e1 rotation. Maybe it's not the strongest because they have the bishop over here, but I like g4, g5. I like to attack, Even when no food is in me, I just like to attack. It's just something I like to do. I also like to defend. In fact, I like getting attacked as well. I think that's why I love chess, because you got to attack and then defend and then, That's kind of all it is. Funny story. When I was a kid, I was like, yo, Dad, I want to do some sports. He's like, son, no sports. I was like, Dad, why? He's like, because you need to only play something that if you lose, you have to know that the blame is 100% of the blame has to fall on you. That's why it was chess and fighting. No team sports. And I think it's shaped a large part of my personality today and explains why I have so many friends. You know, shout out. I'm not sad about it. It's just I find it funny to think about that. You might be like, what is this kid talking about? Bishop to a6. All right. Bishop to a6 makes sense. They want to go c4. They want to pin the pawn, right? There's some tricks and traps. So what do you do here as white? Well, you should go c4, and it is typically what I do in this position. I know if you get c4, it's very good, right? These doubled pawns, they make this bishop very bad, and if you go c4, this bishop is just cooked. Like, for the rest of the game, it's just got no squares. Again, this knight is tying everything down. Be careful if you want to undouble their pawns, right? Make sure you get out of the pin. There's no rush. Prophylactic thinking is going to be good here because there is no rush. Pick up that pawn when it's good. Jump into their position. Improve your pieces. Don't get forked. All that type of stuff. But I didn't go c4. I went knight e5. Maybe fasting makes your chess horrible because look at that move. No, knight e5 is still okay. It attacks the base of the pawn chain over here. It strengthens c4. And, you know, if there's ever queen d4 check, bishop e3 connects your queen to your rook. So it's going to be like a free move. Would a 3000 play that? Well, you'll see what a 3000 plays here. So again, c4 is the correct move, but I go bishop to a3. I'm like, you know, maybe I'm going to win a pawn. Maybe I want to win a pawn here. We got c4 by him. This is why you should go c4 as white. I don't know why I didn't, because I do know that's an idea. But c4 is also a bad move, and I had this calculated. I had that calculated. What are you supposed to do here? You're supposed to take with the b pawn. However, I took with the d pawn. So again, this is not a great game. I just found it peculiar that the week I fast is the week I beat a 3000 on chess.com. We got knight takes c6. So you kind of still win a pawn, right? Because you're defending that guy. And we get, also that guy is tied down to guarding the knight. We get castles, a good move by him. And c5. Can you believe what I missed here? I missed that the knight cannot take. I was like, oh, I'm so smart. He's attacking my rook. I'm attacking my queen, but I'm going to get c4 in, and the knight is here. I just missed a one-move threat. So, pseudoscience, maybe, but I still feel great about it. And then I mean, what is that? Maybe the fact that I had no food in my system made him blunder his queen? This is crazy. I mean, I get it. Maybe he also missed that the knight could take. Sometimes that happens. And if the queen moves, these knights are units, and that pawn could get through. And that rook will be lifted. So maybe he didn't like the rook lift. But he did blunder. He got a rook and a knight for a queen. But this is just easy. We just get into the position. We scoop pawns. And shortly he resigns. Kind of disrespect that he's not resigning here. He has to take the passed pawn. And again, a little more disrespect that he's not resigning. I made myself not get back ranked. Game number 2 will be more interesting. But finally he resigned. I liked this. I was like, boom, you're not even going to, or more like, boom, you're not even going to trade pawns with me, right? I'm going to get this pawn through. Life is good. Life is great. Game number 2. Game number 2 is against trying to play faster. And I was trying to play better, not faster, even though this is bullet. Don't review bullet games. Is that a rule? No. It's not a rule for me because that's exactly what we're doing. Look at this. They all play the same. Except this time we get knight to d4. In my opinion, the better line, disallowing the doubling of the pawns. If they go a6 here, just know that you're supposed to go bishop to d3. Why are you supposed to go bishop to d3? Well, in all Sicilians, they expand like so. You go e5, bishop to b7. You meet them in the center over here. And if d5, there's en passant. And life is good there. Life is usually good. It's usually better than people believe it to be. So knight takes. This is the main line. They are supposed to go d5 here. Do not take, hoping that that becomes a fork, because knight f6, very good for black for some reason. So you're supposed to go e5. And the way this goes is, okay, if they ever go like a6, you go here, you jump into the position. What else could they do? Typically they do go there. So let's say boom, boom. Let's say here, d4. This, I'm just showing how you're supposed to play it. You actually don't take with the queen. You go knight e2. And you just get one of these positions that's quite nice for white. Right? This is just quite nice for white. It's kind of like a Bourdonnais, which is what I play as white against the French. And I quite like this structure. So I get that much of the time. Not this time. This time we go back, and I get e6 a lot. Why is e6 a mistake? I can't believe people play e6. But it's a mistake because it weakens d6, right? It creates a hole. And there is some fun stuff here. I can't really set it up, but like for example, if here, like you get like a wicked attack going, and there's sometimes like a queen sack and a mate on f7. Can I? No, I can't. Well, yeah, I could think of a way to set it up. Let's set it up. Let's waste some moves, kind of like boom, bam. We'll move this guy over here. We'll do something like this. This is what was in my head. I just wanted to show you what was in my head. It's this checkmate, which is very nice. I've got that like maybe 20 times from semi-different positions, but it's a good trap to know. E6, E5, 97, 94. See, you're threatening check, and you're also threatening the pawn. So they castle, as they should. You win a pawn. And then here you should go here, understanding that there's no good checks on this diagonal and no good forks. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I mess up and I go knight d3, because I have gotten this position before. Look at me not learning from my mistakes. Horrible. Rook to d. You know what else is fascinating? I was researching like fasting in chess, and I was like, let me search up Ramadan because they need to fast during Ramadan. And then I learned that some sheiks, some royalty in like Saudi, think that chess is haram because they tie it to gambling. But apparently then that was like reversed, and if you're doing it not to abuse and also following the rules, then it's not haram. I you know, it might be similar to like dopamine, like they might be onto something with that, but interesting, right? There's worse things you could do than play chess, I would argue. But I understand the logic, so it's just, I'm just fascinated. I just like researching things and, you know, thinking a little bit. Bishop to b7 and being wrong, being right sometimes. Look at this. Boom, bam, boom, bam. Crazy stuff. So we get knight takes, queen takes, of course. You have to throw in the switch. And in this position he resigned. It's quite hopeless. You're threatening knight takes. That would be a royal fork. Not as royal as the one we saw in the game yesterday. But odd video today. I think tomorrow I'm going to make a video on a prophylactic tactic. Have you ever seen a tactic that stems from a king move? It's beautiful. And then it will continue. We're going to continue to review it as to how to break a fortress in chess. I hope you guys enjoyed this odd video today. Thank you as always for watching. See you next time. Have a great one. Peace out.